And welcome back, everybody. Happy Monday morning. We are here with Ram on Rogue Actions. This is a part 2 of Rogue Actions, guys. If you missed part 1, you need to get over there ASAP. You can find the link for Ram's channel. I pushed the wrong button again, Ram. Why do I keep doing that?
It wouldn't be you if you didn't.
Yeah, you guys should like and subscribe too while you're at it, though. But you can find the link down below, guys, in the video description. Over on Ram's channel, guys. Make sure you check out part 1 first, then come back here and check out part 2. All right, with that being said, Ram, let's go ahead and get into our content here, guys. We're going to flip things a little bit today, and we're going to actually start with the Master of Memes first, guys. And then we'll get into more of the content later. So, let's go ahead and check out our Master of Memes matchup for today, folks. We've got the following. The waitress, waiting for me to cram my mouth full of food before asking, "How is everything?" Versus, stay in that cockpit. So anyway, I started blasting. That's my best Danny DeVito impersonation. I know it's bad, but welcome to Ahsoka impersonation, guys.
They're all bad.
Yeah, exactly. Ram, which one of these do you like best? What do you think should win?
You know, I actually don't really. It's not the strongest Star Wars meme I've seen. It's just, I mean, it's good, but I think they could have done a little bit better with it. I gotta go with the how is everything meme, because it's just William Dafoe. He's got that perfect evil kind of face feature to him, and God, I can't tell you how many times I've seen waitresses just kind of doing that.
It's like they do it on purpose. To me, this is so real. It's so real. But at the same time,
absolutely.
I think it is funny, like Danny DeVito too. I don't know. I'm kind of split on this one. I probably would go with the waitress one as well. But the chat spoke, guys. Remember, it's ultimately what the chat decides, how you guys vote. And it is Danny DeVito in a cockpit, guys. Without a doubt, with the win, guys. For those of you that don't know, we do this over on Discord, folks. You can submit your memes over there, and we do a weekly matchup, and we crown the winner at the end of the Master of Memes voting. You guys yourselves choose that winner. This week's winner, you know what? I actually forgot to double check this, but I'm pretty sure it is Russ Cooks. It's almost always Russ Cooks, so I'll confirm that here momentarily, but but I'm pretty sure it's Russ Cooks with the win, guys. So well done, sir. Well done. All right, moving on to topic number 2. This is the big one here. This is the big one, Ram, and that is Ahsoka's kit. So for those of you that don't know, on Friday night they dropped. I think it was a puzzle. Actually, maybe not. I don't even know. But they dropped Ahsoka's kit. And holy moly, there's a lot. When prior to starting to record, guys, like we usually don't roadmap stuff. We just kind of go with it. But I had to roadmap how we're going to talk about this because it is very, very extensive. There's a lot of stuff. We are not going into the details on this, to be clear, guys, because there's just too much of it. We're just going to kind of pick and choose a couple of things, some key topics and key discussion points here from the kit itself. So, and or the post as well. That's the other thing too. So let's go ahead and switch back over so we can see this. So first thing I'm going to point out, guys, we're going to kind of skip a lot of this stuff. She's a tank. She's a leader. She's a Spectre. We expected a lot of that. Unaligned Force user, not a Jedi. That is essential. And they got it because they said of the line, "I am no Jedi." Very, very key. Something that's cool about this, guys, if you haven't seen this, they're giving strategy tips like they used to. They've been doing this recently, but something that's new is the Zeta upgrade order recommendation. They've never done this before, so I thought that was kind of neat. They're taking away some of our content, though. That's the only problem. But anyway, it's still a nice little addition. We've got a lot of
right.
Yeah, right. We've got a lot of the facts here, which again, a lot of this is kind of common sense stuff. We don't really need to focus too heavily on a lot of these things. The big thing that I want to take away from this, and we'll talk more about this here in a moment, is the deflective ward and deflective target. That's a really cool thing, and as they pointed out here, the concept is inspired by Darth Vader's merciless massacre ability. Really neat. We're going to talk about that a little bit later, but that's a really, really cool thing. First thing, before we get into the kit itself, Ram, they usually have like a, thoughts from the kit designer and things like that. And it's usually, just kind of background, like, well, we went and looked to see what the history of this character is and what they looked like, etc., etc., etc. We had 3 different people make comments about this, and the thing that I took away from this is that not only did these guys research her, they knew her in and out. Like, and it shows just from the wording that it's not that they just knew her because they're a Star Wars fan. They're Ahsoka fans. Like, they are like me in that I got the vibe that, like, she is their favorite character in the game, or one of, easily. And they really understand the lore. They really care about her as a character, and they wanted to try to hit all of her aspects and everything that she does. And I just felt like it shows there's a lot of love and passion in this kit and in her design. And I thought that was really neat. My question for you, Ram, with that being said, do you think because of this kind of personal connection and personal caring of this character from the kit designers, do you think that that's going to show, or do you think they're going to like still remain objective in how they design the kit, and she's not going to be crazy OP because they just love her to death? What do you think?
So almost every single GL, if not every single GL that's come out, has always been OP at the start.
Yeah.
I don't see them changing that routine here, and especially with how thorough they are and seemingly invested these three developers are in seeing Ahsoka and her success in the game. I don't think that that's going to change. I think that she's going to come out being an absolute powerhouse. We'll find things that certainly beat her, sure. I wouldn't doubt to see some minor balance changes later on to make her more or less powerful depending on how she releases. It's just, I think that they want her to come out and be the powerhouse. And I think most of the fans really do too. I think most of the fans really want her to just, if I get Ahsoka in the game, GL Ahsoka, I want to slaughter everything because it's Ahsoka.
Yeah, the one thing that makes me think that it still will be sort of objective in their approach to it is, so there's a clause in here where they talk about how they give bonus stats if Ezra is not present. And they specifically, talk about how they wanted to initially give the team those stats even with Ezra, but they found that the team became too powerful, and it was too difficult to try to defeat. And so I think that, and they actually said they've done some balance testing and things like that. How much they did, I don't know, but they claim to have done some testing, and it sounds like when they designed the kit, they wanted her to be just ridiculous. But then they did the testing, and they're like, okay, yes, we love this character, yes, we love how this kit's working, but we gotta dial it back a little bit because, this is just a little too much. Like, I kind of got that from that comment that they made. I still think that it's going to be a ton of fun. I think it's definitely going to be meta defining to start with, especially because of the Datacron. I mean, that's the thing with the Datacrons right now is they make that team insanely difficult to beat. So I think that at least for 3 months she's going to be super meta. But after that, I think they probably will be a little more balanced, if you will, in their approach to the kit and everything. I just hope she's fun. Which I think we're going to see some really fun stuff with the ultimates, which speaking of the ultimates, let's go ahead and kind of get into the abilities here. So there's a ton of abilities, guys, and I, again, am not going to read all of this to you. Defiant Resolve is one of the biggest in terms of the usable abilities that you really going to want to focus in on, and that is because of Marai's wisdom. Not Mariah, Marai. Her wisdom. This is massive. This is a massive
Mariah?
ability. No. Plus 15 speed. Take 10% less damage. Take reduced damage from percent health effects. Like, that's crazy that she's just passing this out to people. That's insane. And too, remember, she gives this to herself when she first does this, guys. So she's going to be immune to health damage effects as well. And they're immune to turn meter reduction. Like, this is so cool. Such a neat aspect to her kit and her abilities. Anyway, that's not even the biggest thing here, guys. So she has that. She has her leadership. She has her uniques. All of that is incredible and amazing. But the thing that is really, really unique at this point that we have not seen before is the double ultimate. She has 2 ultimates, not 2 tiers of ultimate. Not like Slicker has 3. Well, actually, there's a lot of similarities to Slicker. We're going to get that in a second. Or JMK, where he has an early ult and then a full ult. There are 2 separate ults. So Ultimate 1 is the Worlds Apart, which is, again, so this is really cool. This is referencing her, going from gray Ahsoka to white Ahsoka, if you guys are familiar with the show. It's really neat. It's literally like a change in character, a change in wardrobe. This sounds incredibly cool, and it sounds like she's going to get to this very quickly as well. Then, after she does that, she then is able to get a second ultimate after that, called Relentless Redoubt, which, by the way, I didn't know redoubt was a word. We discovered that was a real word last night. And this kind of works like Slicker's Kit, where you have the ability to activate it at 50% charge, or you can wait longer and activate it at 75% charge and you get a lot more stuff from it, or you can wait even longer to 100% ultimate charge and get a whole lot more out of it as well. That itself seems like a lot. We're not done yet.
Yeah.
The bigger thing here that I think is going to be really neat, Ram, and I'm intrigued to see your thoughts on this. We talked earlier about Merciless Massacre, guys, and how her kit was inspired by it. This is the part that's inspired by it. So Deflective Ward and Deflective Target basically means that your team is taunting, and that taunt bounces around all over the place, and then your opponent, your enemy, gets marked over and over, and it just kind of keeps popping all over the place, kind of like when you have Merciless Massacre, but it's kind of the opposite of that. It's the antithesis of it, if you will. And I thought that was such a neat idea and design. I'm really excited to see how this plays out in the game, because she is kind of like the anti-Vader, if you will. And we talked earlier in Ram's video about the canonical tie-ins to the kits, and I just love this. Ram, what are your thoughts on the kit overall, but specifically like the alt and this, anti-Merciless Massacre thing? What are you thinking here? Do you like it?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I love the tie-in between, obviously the version we're seeing here is of the Ahsoka show, but there's the tie-in with the Vader, and she obviously encountered him in, spoilers, in the World Between Worlds. The two ults I think is beautiful because Ahsoka is such an iconic character that you can't just have her be a normal GL. She has to have something unique and special about her. Her and Vader have always been, very close in similarities, even on opposite spectrums of the Force. One being light, one being dark, whatever. Any tie-ins that they can do is beautiful. The Deflective Ward is just going to be a brutal pain to have to deal with. They gain it till the end of the counter. It can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented, so you have to just churn through it in order to be able to eventually defeat them. If that's the case, all of meanwhile, they're doing massive amounts of damage to you, and they're just getting thicker and thicker by the second. This is going to be a very timeout heavy team,
yes.
And you are going to want to churn through it as quickly as possible, or you will get stuck.
Yeah, so there's another point in the kit reveal here, guys, where they talked about damage immunity and the fact that Ahsoka is immune to damage immunity, like she cannot receive it. And they addressed this in the facts, and it was like, well, why can't she get that? And they said she just became too powerful. Like, you just couldn't churn through this team within the time allotted because of that. Like, so I like Ram said here, it just tells you that this is going to be an incredibly thick, difficult team to get through. Ram, I didn't plan on asking you this, but do you think this is going to be an offensive or a defensive team?
Oh man. With how thick it sounds like it's going to be, we don't know, because obviously the AI can be completely wonky and just not play it right.
Yep.
But it sounds like, from reading all this, it sounds like they're going to be very, very powerful on defense, because of the fact that it's just going to be very thick and hard to churn through, and a timeout issue possibility.
I think it's going to be hard to focus in on a character with this team. Yeah. That's the other thing. Even though Ahsoka is a taunt, and again, if you attack Ahsoka, that's not good, as you guys can see if you read the full kit. So,
but she's a taunter. She's a tank.
She's a tank. Yeah.
She wants you to target her, but you get punished for targeting it. It's beautiful.
Okay. Last kind of question with her kit here, Ram, and this is going to kind of allude more to the team itself. And that is basically looking forward. So I asked you about offense, defense. How, for those of us out there that are going to be getting her either soon or, in the future, what are your initial thoughts on how we should mod? You can use just one character if you want to, or the team in general. How do you think that we should be modding this team / character?
So I think that with almost everything in this game, you end up coming to this one key attribute that we just can't ever escape. It's called speed. And speed is king, and it always has been, and it probably always will be. And that's just how you want this team. There's going to be certain modding that I'm sure you're going to want to fine tune, but I think almost every single character is going to need just a ton of secondary speed. Maybe not necessarily speed sets, for instance, and we'll I'm sure Shaka will touch up on that one, but definitely speed secondaries, high speed. The faster this team goes, maybe some secondary, health and protection things to kind of beef them up just even more, make them even more thick and timeout potential.
Yeah, it's so
that'd be where I go.
There's no one kit that there's one kit that has a little thing I'll talk about here in a second. But there's no obvious oh, this character needs offense, or oh, this character needs speed, or there's nothing that's really blatantly obvious, because the whole alt charge is basically just based around you taking turns, and doing things. So the more you take turns, the more you use your abilities, the faster you get to alt. So ultimately, like you said, it's just speed, man. We even tried to talk on Friday, and we didn't really come to a consensus on who your second character should be in your turn order. So obviously Ahsoka, you assume, is going to be the fastest because she's a GL. But who do you use next? Is it Ezra? Is it Hera? Who do you want to go second? We kind of came down to those two are probably the most likely of the two that you would want to go next. But even then, it was kind of a toss-up as to whether we go speed mods on Ezra or whether we go health mods on Ezra. I don't know that there's any one real answer other than just speed, like you said. So for any of you guys that are debating what to do, I think ultimately speed. And I don't think you even necessarily need offense, because the whole kit, guys, the way this works is you stack mastery. What you need is relic levels. This might be the first all R9 team outside of a raid requirement, because they just want that relic level and that mastery. The one character, and Ram kind of alluded to this, that I would say does not necessarily need speed kits, I would say is probably Sabine. So Sabine has in her unique, and it's a Zeta because I don't have it activated yet. I'm waiting on Ahsoka. She stacks crit damage whenever Ahsoka hits her ults. So you're going to benefit a lot with her having, in my opinion, a crit damage set. Obviously, speed secondaries are good. Offense on her probably isn't going to hurt, but I think most of the damage from this team is going to come from the, off balance, I think is the name of the debuff, / just their stacking mastery that they're getting, and then Hu Yang's kit through his unique and stuff. But I think giving her crit damage set with the crit damage triangle would make sense. Outside of that, though, yeah, speed, guys. Speed and make them thick. I don't know. It's a pretty easy answer.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments down below, guys. How do you think this kit translates? What are things that you love about it? What are things that you're maybe not as excited about? And then how are you going to mod the team? What are you doing to get this team up and running if you're going for it right now? Or in the long run down the road, what are you going to do, and what are you looking at doing with that stuff? Okay. Ram, that leads us into our third and final topic here today, guys, which is what's next. What's next looking forward in the world of SWGOH and Rogue Actions. First of all, in terms of SWGOH, we kind of talked about that in Ram's video. I don't think we need to get too much into that at the moment. Real talk, I said SWGOH and Rogue Actions, guys, because I am formally announcing here today, guys, that I will be stepping down from Rogue Actions. I think most of my community is not going to be shocked by this, because I've kind of alluded to the content creation and real life burnout that has been happening for me since October, really. Ram and I discussed this back in October, that this was a real thing. And I've tried to do some changes. I've reduced what I'm doing with my reaction channel, and that has helped a lot. But ultimately, I still feel the need to step back and not do as much. I am not retiring. I still am doing, streaming. That's not going away. I'm still doing the reaction channel. That'll still continue. I'm just stepping away from Rogue Actions. In terms of the gaming channel as a whole, we'll still probably put some stuff out here or there. Do not expect it to be regular per se, though, guys. Just because when I started this, so Ram, we obviously had this discussion. When Ram first approached me about doing Rogue Actions, I said, yeah, I want to do it because it seems like it's going to be fun. And it has been. It's been a ton of fun. And that was my first main priority. I'm not here to become an official, consultant for the game of SWGOH. That's not my goal at all in this. So moving forward, that's kind of where we're at, guys. But I am going to be stepping down from this. Moving forward, we'll talk more about what Rogue Action is going to look like with Ram here in a moment. But let's look back a little bit, guys. Let's look back a little bit. So Ram, in the past year, obviously we've been doing Rogue Actions together. What is one of your most favorite and or most memorable moments from Rogue Actions this past year while we've been doing it together?
Shaka, it's a tough question. That is such a tough question.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you have to think. You're including your voice, imitations, if we may try to call them that.
I said best, not worst.
I think what really it boils down to is what made Rogue Actions with you involved. What made Rogue Actions better, more fun, more entertaining, and more audience immersive. And I think the thing for me that really kind of was unique to you doing this versus anybody else that just, anybody else being a regular co-host versus this is uniquely Shaka, is your reasonable or ridiculousness. That is bar none, I think. Yes. That will always go when someone shows a sign like that. That's Shaka right there.
That's a teacher in me.
I love that. So that's the one thing that stands out of all the crazy, ridiculous stuff that we've had together over the last year. That's the one thing.
That's awesome. Yeah, I when we first started this, I think if I remember correctly, one of the first things I said was my goal was to bring more positivity to Rogue Actions because it's in the past had historically, negative moments, and I wanted to keep it positive and to some degree make it educational as well. I want people to learn things from watching. That's the teacher in me. But yeah, I say this all the time in my streams. My number one thing is audience engagement. I want people to be engaged. I want you involved in it. It's the teacher in me. I don't want you just sitting there passively listening. I want you involved. And any opportunity that we have to get the audience involved in things like that really, really means a lot to me. And I just want to say, Ram, I think a lot of that comes from our interactions. For me, I think my favorite, it's kind of hard to pigeonhole it into one thing, but it's just our camaraderie, our back and forth, I guess. It's very natural. We don't fake this at all, guys. It's just who we are. We just talk. It's just a natural conversation. The word I would use is authentic. We're both very authentic to each other and to you guys as viewers, and I think that's something that I've loved about this, is being able to just be authentically ourselves and love Star Wars and love the community. It's just something that I think is great. It's probably my all-time favorite thing about having done this with you in particular. Like I said, I did it for fun, and it's been fun.
Yeah, I think so going on the authentic approach with you, right? We talked about this when I was looking for co-hosts for Rogue Actions. There were a couple different people in mind. Ahsoka was one of them, and so I presented that approach to him. I was like, look, you know, we vibe well together on stream. You know, I'm regularly a part of your community. You're regularly a part of mine. Let's see, you know, if you're interested in doing this. And you know, doing Rogue Actions with Heinze, having seen Rogue Actions in the past with, you know, people like Cubs, Grid, you know, take your pick of the previous co-hosts. You know, it kind of all, they had their own unique touches to it, but it kind of followed the same thing of, you know, let's try to keep it within this time frame, and let's kind of talk about what we're going to talk about prior to If you guys have not figured this out over the last year, me and Shaka, we will sit here, and there's times where we'll sit here for an hour plus on Discord prior to recording.
Yeah.
Like, all right, let's figure out what our topics are. Well, what do you want to talk about in that topic? I don't know. Let's just wing it.
Yeah.
And then we'll sit here and I mean, the times that we put out videos that have been 30, 45 minutes, 50 minutes, an hour plus.
An hour plus, yeah. Those are crazy ones.
Right. You wouldn't get those with other people. You'll get those with us because we just wing it. We just, the conversation flows naturally. We're not scripted. We're not sitting here trying to, well, if I say this, you say this, no. It's just, let's just have the conversation, and when the conversation stops, then we'll move on.
Yeah.
I've loved that interaction with you. I've loved that. You know, we've both had an interesting year. Let's just say that.
Yes.
We've had a very interesting year.
2024 can suck it.
Facts. It can suck a huge chode, as Sweens would say. But there's no other person I would have rather gone on the ride with that I went on this year than you for Rogue Actions. It's just you, like I said, you made Rogue Actions fun. There's a ton of people out there that would love to have the opportunity to do Rogue Actions or whatnot. But I don't think there's ever going to be an exact replacement for you. Just like there's not an exact replacement for Heinze. There wasn't an exact replacement for Grid. They all bring their own uniqueness to it.
Yep.
You bring a uniqueness that will not ever be able to be recreated to Rogue Actions. And I'm going to miss you. I know the community is going to miss you, man.
Oh, thank you. I can't help but focus on the recreated again. You saying recreated, not recreated.
Suck my chode.
Words. Guys, let us know in the comments down below. What is one of your favorite moments and or, you know, just general things that you loved about Rogue Actions over this past year with Ram and myself. Ram, you talked, and I kind of want to get into this as well. You talked about legacy a little bit, you know, talking about Heinze and what he brought to this, and and Cubs and, you know, Grid, what all these different people have brought to Rogue Actions. And I think that's one of the cool things about this is that every version of Rogue Actions is always going to be a little bit different because of each person's personality and what they bring to the table. So thinking of in the past, you know, different legacy things about Rogue Actions and moving forward, what are some things that you would like to see continue in Rogue Actions that maybe we've had in the past, and you'd like to see that kind of stuff continue? Or what are some things that you might like to see change and evolve as Rogue Actions continues? Just interested to see what your thoughts are on the future / legacy connection of Rogue Actions.
So I mean, number one is obviously, of course, the mini meme. That's gonna be a staple. That I don't see that ever going anywhere. You know, mini had such a vast impact on the community, and it's been a staple of I don't know, 3 generations of Rogue Actions at this point.
Yeah.
So if not longer, I don't see that ever going anywhere. Man, it's going to be tough to try to figure out what the next co-host may or may not want, because I mean, for us, we've had to sit here and we just kind of let's throw down 4 topics and see what works, because we've always known, well, we have mini meme and we have master memes.
Right.
Well, master memes is that's a solely you thing. That's going with you.
Right.
So now we got to figure out, is there something else that the next co-host may or may not want that's unique to that person, that may or may not want, a consistent topic, a consistent whatever that he puts down or she puts down. I don't know.
That's a good point. I'd be intrigued to see if something becomes a regular rotation like we have with Master of Memes, or if it'll become more of a conversation topic. I think that's something that was kind of neat about us. We had 2, kind of solidly scripted elements to what we were doing, versus in the past you only had one. You only had the meme thing in the future. I'll be intrigued to see how that works moving forward. That's kind of a cool point. Sorry,
I will say that whatever or whoever joins Rogue Actions, the one thing I want to see that continues, that I think viewers like, that I personally like, is, again, the non-scripted aspect of it. Just getting in, recording, having a conversation, seeing where it goes. I know me personally, I love listening to like podcasts and whatnot, because you get that you're not just here reading a script, you're here trying to understand the other person's perspective. And sometimes you may agree, sometimes you may not agree, and let that human interaction work. And if the video goes on for 15 minutes, fine. If the video goes on for 45 minutes, fine. Who cares? The people that want to continue to watch for that long will continue to watch. The people that don't will tune out or skip through or whatever, and that's completely fine too. Right. Everybody's taste is different.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting point too, because back when Rogue Actions first started, podcasts weren't really a big thing back then. So we're talking like 9, 8, 7 years ago. Whereas now they're huge. Podcasts are a massive thing at this point. I wouldn't be shocked to see Rogue Actions morph into more of a podcast type thing. I mean, I know we kind of are a podcast to some degree, but we're more along the lines of like Pardon the Interruption, if any of you guys are familiar with that show. I wouldn't be shocked to see this become a little bit more podcast-y in the future. But again, I'm intrigued to see what comes about with the future. And obviously, I look forward to watching Rogue Actions continue in the future. I'll certainly be watching it and checking it out. Guys, let us know in the comments down below, before I kind of turn this last bit over to Ram here. Let us know in the comments down below. Obviously, we said what are your favorite moments from this past year. But I think that's something that's really cool to hear from you about, is what are things that you would like to see continue in the future? Whether it be Ram continues the tradition, or maybe a new host continues certain traditions. What are things that you have liked and loved about past legacy Rogue Actions that you'd like to see continue, or maybe brought back that didn't exist before? Like, this kind of feedback is stuff that's always great for the content creators, to help them know where change should go, where we should evolve to. Evolving is a very important thing in what we do as content creators. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about that in the comments down below as well. Ram, with that being said, I'm going to kind of turn the next little portion over to you, and that is the more formal, what's next for Rogue Actions. What can people expect in terms of when they might see the next episode, when they might see a new co-host, that kind of thing? What can people kind of expect with that?
Okay, so like we said at the beginning of my video and several times throughout this video, this is the last Rogue Actions of us two ever, but the last Rogue Actions of us two this year as well.
Right.
There's not going to be another Rogue Actions for the remainder of this year, just because of the holidays, because people are going to visit family.
Right.
Obviously, work increases during this time frame of the year too. So it's just not a good time to sit down and be able to commit time to record.
Right.
That being said, I do intend to continue Rogue Actions into the following year. When that will be is up in the air right now, and I don't want to give any hard timeline. So take what I'm saying, guys, with a huge grain of salt, and honestly, just join my Discord, and I'll keep you as posted in there as you'll ever be. You guys know I've been going through some stuff this year. It's been a crazy year for me. That may or may not be culminating in January, February timeframe. Because of that, I'm just simply not going to have a whole lot of time to sit down and do Rogue Actions that I really want to be able to do. I'm not going to be in the right headspace to be honest. So as of right now, I am probably just going to be taking a little bit of time off from Rogue Actions. It's not gonna be gone. I'm in the process of looking through alternative co-hosts right now, and when I settle on one that I really think would be a good fit for this show, then we'll formally announce it, and we'll figure out an exact date of when we can bring this long running content back to you. So long story short, it's not going anywhere. We're just going to take a little bit of time off just so I can focus on real life, which I think sadly everybody has to do from time to time.
So you're saying it's subject to change?
Yes, in CG terms.
I couldn't resist. Rogue Actions will return, subject to change, guys. Love it, Ram. Love it, man. Ram, any final parting words before we call it a day here?
You know, I can't think of anything that I could say or do beyond just showing you.
Oh, thank you, sir.
That's what you mean to me, bro.
Thank you, man.
Thank you for being an amazing co-host for Rogue Actions. Look forward to seeing next year with you.
Agreed, sir. I didn't know how to end this, to be honest with you. I didn't know what to do because I don't really have like a catchphrase to end things or anything like that. But then, Ram, you kind of gave me an answer. Guys, I'm officially signing off as a co-host of Rogue Actions by saying the following. Everything about this, everything that we have done, guys, absolutely reasonable. Totally reasonable, guys. Love it. Looking forward to Rogue Actions continuing, guys. With that being said, everybody, have a great holiday. See you guys later. Next time, everybody. Bye.